Hi, it's Andrew from IT again, and today we're going to talk a little bit about something that I like to call the care and feeding of a MacBook. So, one of the things that can happen to any computer, any electronic device, is that it can suffer damage. These things are not invincible, and we have to take care of them. And we're going to go through some ways that you can take care of your MacBook. So, with a little bit of care and some best practices, you can keep a MacBook running for years. I know that sounds a little bit crazy because we think of technology as something that has to be replaced very quickly. But just to throw off an example there, and I know that I take care of things a little bit more intensely than some people do. By the way, you can see my dog back there on the couch. I have a MacBook that I bought in 2012 before I ever even worked for Goucher, and it still works great. My girlfriend has it right now, and she's using it for her everyday personal computer, and it works really, really, really well. And I've only replaced one part in it the entire time that I've had it. So let's talk a little bit about how you can take care of your computer and keep it going for a long, long time. So, what's on our agenda? How can I keep my MacBook safe when I'm not using it or transporting it? How can I protect my MacBook? How can I make sure my MacBook runs well for a long time? Is there a way to protect the power adapter? How can I clean my MacBook? And finally, what does Goucher's computer use policy say about caring for computers? So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about safe storage. So, how should you store your MacBook? So, first of all, you shouldn't keep a MacBook loose in a bag or stacked on a shelf. That's a great way to get it dinged up or have pressure pushed down on the top of the display. Pressure on top of a MacBook can result in a cracked screen or disconnected cables or other physical issues. So, we've seen this a couple of times where something will be cracked and nobody will be able to tell exactly how it happened. It didn't get dropped, but there will have been something heavy pressed down on top of the computer. So, you want to keep your MacBook in a laptop bag with a padded storage section, one that's designed for that. Or if you don't have that, like I don't, I just have a messenger bag, you want to keep it in a soft pouch, like I have pictured on this slide. Um, so the one I have pictured is the official Apple recommended in case pouch, which is like $55. The one that I use is the Amazon Basics one, which is the exact same product. It just doesn't say in case, it says Amazon Basics on it, and it cost me 20 bucks. So let's also talk about storage conditions. So, as a rule of thumb, a MacBook is comfortable wherever you are. So, leaving your computer someplace that's very hot or very cold, like in your car overnight, it can actually cause problems with the display, the keyboard assembly, or even the battery. And also, humid conditions are really bad for an electronic device. But it doesn't mean you have to like completely avoid them entirely. It's okay for you to take your computer, it's a beautiful summer day, go sit outside at a picnic table and work there. That's fine. Just don't leave your computer out there. Now, what about extra protection? Things that some people have that they use. So, I'm just going to throw this out there. These are things that you can buy. I don't personally use any of them, but I'm also extremely careful. So you know, that may change things a little bit. So here's some other stuff that you can use. So one popular option is to get a hard shell cover for a MacBook. Now, what you want to make sure that you do if you get one is that you get one that's very lightweight, because heavy ones can cause balance problems with the display hinge. In all Apple laptop computers, the display hinge is actually counterweighted so that it opens and closes and stays closed. When you change the weight by putting, like, I've seen aluminum ones that are or and things like that, it can make it so that the hinge won't stay in place, or that it won't stay shut. So make sure if you get one of those that you get a very lightweight one. Keyboard covers are also very popular. They will protect your keyboard from dirt and just general gunk that gets on them. But only a small amount of protection from liquid. A spill can still get in there, so you still want to keep your drinks away. Or you can be like me if you're going to have a drink near your computer and have a closed, sealable water bottle that you. Okay, next, a screen protector will keep your screen clean and offer minor protection from cracks. Um, Personally, I find them very difficult to put on, so maybe that's just me. But I know that there are other IT staff members who do really like them. Uh, it's important to keep in mind, though, that a hard impact can still cause damage with a screen protector. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about MacBook maintenance, some stuff that you can do semi-regularly. Uh, Excuse me for 1 second. Roxy, come here. I got to yell at my dog every once in a while when I'm talking. She thinks I'm talking to her. So, MacBook maintenance. So, as I mentioned in other videos, it's important to keep up with macOS updates and software updates for your installed apps so they can fix security problems and keep everything running smoothly. A MacBook always wants you to leave about 10 gigs of free space available to run smoothly, and more than that is always better. So it's easy to forget to shut down or restart your MacBook, but it's good to do it at least once a week. I'm guilty of this. I will just put my computer to sleep and start it up, and then every once in a while I'll be like, man, this is running a little bit slow, and I'll hit that restart button and everything is perfect again. And then another thing that I like to do is, clean out your downloads folder and desktop periodically. It's super easy to collect a lot of unnecessary files there, especially if you're running macOS Mojave or later, which you should be. But in those two operating systems, it will actually collect files and put them into groups of like, here's documents and here's pictures. And it'll look like your desktop only has like 5 or 6 things on it, but because it's organized them into these friendly groups, you could actually have hundreds and not even think about it. And so it's important to clean these things out because that's space you could be using. We get a lot of people asking us, what can I delete? What can I get rid of? And they'll have a ton of stuff in their desktop or downloads folder. And now some other tips. This is stuff that I personally do. I like to go through my applications folder and make sure that there isn't anything I don't recognize in there. So there are some applications that pop up every once in a while, like Mac Keeper, Clean My Mac, Mac Cleaner Pro. They aren't really malicious, right? I can't say that they're a virus. But all they really do is just run the same scans that are already built into your Mac, but charge you money to do them for you. So there's no reason to have one of these applications. And sometimes they can end up on your Mac without you even telling them to install. Another thing to keep in mind is that applications that aren't made by Apple, they don't notify you with the regular Apple software update that they have updates available. One of these is Office. Another one is Adobe stuff. So it's important to keep them up to date when you launch them. And also, periodically, I like to open up System Preferences and go to Users and Groups and check the login items listed next to your account. Personally, I don't like to have too many apps starting up automatically when I restart my computer, but this is a very personal preference. Hey, puppy dog, come here, come here, come here. I think she's going stir crazy like all of us. So, all right, another thing that we talk about a lot is the power adapters that come with a Mac and how you can hang on to those for a long time. So a lot of people, both at Goucher and just in the online discourse about Apple stuff, talk about these frayed power adapters that you can see on your screen here. A common complaint is that the charging cable will fray on either end. It'll either happen at the joint at the base of the adapter or towards the end where the connector actually is. Newer models of MacBooks do have breakaway cables that like come off, but it's not actually caused by a defect. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, these cables are defective," but it's actually cable stress that causes it. So strain and bending on the cable joint is what causes these to happen. I have that same MacBook I talked about at the beginning, the one that I bought in 2012 that I gave to my girlfriend, and it is still on its original power adapter and it's not frayed. And it's traveled with me and it's gone back and forth to my old job and on, vacations and the rough and tumble life of, being on tour in a rock band. And it's fine because I took care of it a certain way. So what you're going to want to do, and I'm going to show you in the next page, is you're going to want to leave a small loop before wrapping your cable around the adapter. So let's look at that. So first of all, those little wings that pop up, those are to wrap the cable around. But first, before I wrap the cable around, I'll make a loop like you see in this picture and then wrap the cable around the posts. So what that does is that while we've pulled it tight and wrapped it around the adapter for storage, we haven't put any extra tension on that joint. So if you leave that little loop and wrap it around there, that's how you can make your power adapter last for a very, very long time. Now, this is an extreme one in the picture, but let's talk about some other things that you can do. So, a common accessory that I see listed on electronic sites and Amazon is a MacBook charger cable saver, and it's those are a waste of money. It's basically just a rubber sleeve that goes around the cable. You can get the same exact effect by doing a small wrap of electrical tape near both ends of the cable. If you have one that you know you're going to be rough with, we used to do this at the Apple retail stores that I worked at, is that we knew that these things were going to get pulled out of cables and thrown around, and the general public was going to touch them. So we'd wrap electrical tape around the joint at both the base and at the end, so that even if there was strain, it wouldn't result in exposed wiring. So obviously the best solution if you have one with exposed wiring, remember there's 85 watts of current running through these things. So you're going to want to replace that adapter eventually. But since stores aren't open right now, you can actually use electrical tape as a safe stopgap until you can replace the adapter. Um, as of the time of recording this, the state of Maryland is opening up stores in some counties, but Baltimore County, where Goucher is not allowed to open its stores up yet. So, you might have to order one online. There might be a delay. So, you're definitely going to want to do something if you have something with exposed wires like that. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about cleaning, and this is a question that we get a lot. I'll be honest, I'm not great about doing this myself, but I know how to do it correctly. It is best to use a cleaning product specifically designed for electronics. These products have a high alcohol content, which will evaporate quickly, and are designed to prevent the conduction of electricity. My personal favorite one that's on the market is one called iClear. Anything designed for computers will do well. I'll be honest, I like iClear because it's the one that they used at the Apple stores when I used to work in them. And the reason that they use that is because everything in an Apple store has to be shiny and beautiful and able to be cleaned quickly, right? Because people are in there all day using that stuff. So it worked really well. And I just really liked that product. It doesn't mean you have to use that. This is like a Coke versus Pepsi kind of argument. But that's the one that I liked. What you're going to want to do is also you can use rubbing alcohol on like a soft microfiber cloth. It'll work well in a pinch. And right now, with everything that's going on, if it's strong enough, it'll disinfect your devices too. So I know rubbing alcohol that's 70% or higher might be hard to find right now. But if you have some or you get some, that's a great way to make your device very clean. This is really important. Do not ever spray cleaner directly onto any part of your computer. You don't want to put it like right on the screen or on the keyboard or anything like that. It can seep into the seams and openings and it can cause damage, and that's not good. So what you want is get a soft cloth, a little bit damp with the cleaner of choice. Doesn't have to be super wet, just damp, and very gently clean the display, keyboard, and trackpad. Remember, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on this stuff because these devices are sensitive. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about Goucher's computer use policy and how it pertains to taking care of a computer. So, come on. There we go. Everything's loading in all at once. So, we're going to be covering the parts of the policy directly related to the care of computers. So, for the full policy, you can find it at the website that I have displaying. So, the text that is important to us reads as follows. The college expects that members of the campus community will take care of equipment provided to faculty, staff, and students, including taking measures to secure equipment from theft. Acts which damage computing resources, deny service to other users, or compromise the integrity of the security systems of the resources are prohibited. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? Physical damage of the Goucher owned computer will be the responsibility of the employee, department, or division. IT does not pay for repairs to damaged equipment. Installation of software that can damage the operation of a computer is also prohibited. Tampering with equipment is also prohibited, so opening it up and changing things, stuff like that. If you have any questions about this or anything else that's in the computer use policy, please contact the help desk. We are very happy to help you with questions about that. So, finally, let's recap all of this a little bit. I know I covered a lot of different things very quickly here. So, first, storing a MacBook properly in a laptop bag or at least a sleeve and in a comfortable, dry environment will prevent damage to it. There are optional extra accessories that you can get for your MacBook that can add extra protection if you are interested in them. Running updates, keeping at least 10 gigs of free space, and periodically cleaning out old files and applications will help keep your MacBook running for years. If stored properly, a MacBook adapter will not fray or tear at either end. To clean your MacBook, use an electronics cleaner or rubbing alcohol and only spray your cleaner onto a cloth, never directly on the computer. And finally, Goucher's computer use policy states that physical damage to a computer is the responsibility of the individual department or division, not information technology. So that's all that I have to say about taking care of a MacBook. It's pretty simple. If you take care of your computer, both keep it clean physically and keep it running smoothly, in terms of the software, they're going to last and work well for a very, very long time. If you have any other questions about taking care of a MacBook or the content of any of these other videos that you've watched, please feel free to contact the help desk. We are all still working. We are all happy to hear from you and happy to help. Thanks a lot for watching this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day today. Goodbye.